There's no escaping the dust in South Australia's drought-stricken mid-north. But as the seeds start going in, a sense of relief has also settled on farms, with growers like Matt Fowler's back doing what he loves.
It's quite refreshing to get out in the field again. We got starved of opportunities last year, and the harvests obviously didn't spin around at all. It's been a long time coming to get back into the field, I think.
The region, which includes the Southern Flinders Ranges, is a mix of reliable and marginal farming country. And like many growers, Matt has both. But that didn't help him last year, after dry conditions in 2023 went from bad to worse.
Last year was unbelievably dry, and we had no stored water and no harvest. It was essentially a financial wipeout, which is I think we would never have envisaged. We're used to some wipeouts out on the country we are at the moment, but a more reliable country can usually keep us afloat, but just there was nothing in that way either.
After losing hundreds of thousands of dollars, there's a lot riding on this year. And while there has been a bit of rain about recently, it will take much more to turn these bone-dry farms around. And the Weather Bureau isn't forecasting that anytime soon. Where is your headspace at now, at the start of the season, after last year?
I'm usually very decisive personally, and it's knocked me around a little bit this year, just pulling the trigger on decisions. Now we've got wheels going around in paddock, seeders are in motion and sprayers are going. Those decisions are locked in concrete, essentially, and I don't know, it's a big morale boost, I feel.
Financially strapped growers are looking for the best way to put in a cheap crop. Matt Fowler's, who is also an agronomist, is taking advantage of the nutrients in the soil that didn't get used last year and pulling back on fertiliser. And while some may wonder why you'd farm low rainfall country in the driest state in the world's driest continent, Matt says it doesn't take much to convert this dust bowl into a passable crop.
Of 140 years of records, we've had 7 of the worst 15 on record and 0 of the best. So it's not been a brilliant time since I've been home, but we've been able to achieve quite solid yields, a viable business structure. It's been no worries. The key to us is just nailing the good seasons when they come.
Near Bullaroo Centre, another progressive farming family has started dry seeding, which is becoming more common, loading up pretty much the only thing they got back from last year's harvest.
So last year, crap, to be honest. You try and do everything right, and at the end of the day, you're in the lap of the weather gods, and it just didn't dish it out for us last year at all.
Not one to be defeated by the weather gods, Joe Koff is using last year's harsh lessons to take control of this year's seeding. And in some spots, that's meant adding next to no fertiliser.
The biggest decision, hardest decisions is, working out where to pull back on, like i.e. fertiliser, and making sure that you're not underdoing yourself to capitalise on when the season does turn around. We can, grow some really big crops.
Helping him make the tough decisions is wife Jess, who runs a precision ag consultancy. While she has a great view of the family's property out of her office window, Jess relies on hard data to create a very different picture of farms for clients. She makes maps that guide growers applying different rates of inputs. And when it's dry, every percentile counts.
What we're looking at here is some satellite imagery of our cropping program north of Bullaroo from last year. And what it's showing you is that the red, the orange and the yellow, and even some of this light green, those parts of the crop just aren't going to grow and make it through to harvest.
So what do you do with that information, like at this time this year?
So we grab the yield map, if there is one, we pair it with the soil test information that we have, and then we can make some pretty hard decisions about where we're going to put our fertiliser or not going to put our fertiliser for this season.
If you're after a cheap crop, like how much does these little changes, these little tweaks actually potentially save you?
Well, when the fertiliser is upward of $1,200 a tonne, it can add up really quickly. So some farms are saving tens of thousands, $40,000, $50,000 over their whole program.
Even with all the smarts, it's hard to avoid the stress of farming right now, no matter what age. What do you hear a lot about at home?
We're running low on money.
Yeah.
Water, and it's very dry. And the dams are never full and you have no water.
What are your folks like?
Dad and Mum are not happy about it. Dad and Mum are grumpy.
And what's that like for you guys?
Sad that no one's crop grows. Hopefully it rains this year.
But the long dry doesn't stop these kids making the most of their spacious backyard.
Good kid.
And it's this resilience and lifestyle that help their drought-worn parents get through the day-to-day slog.
Hope this one's a good one.
Obviously it has an impact on them, but they love it. Definitely love the lifestyle. We're fortunate where we live here. We've got some pretty picturesque scenery in the southern Flinders, so it may not look that great out there in terms of how the business is performing, but obviously the view on a sunset, that helps take the sting out of it a bit.
That sting is certainly being felt far and wide, with rural towns and businesses taking a big hit. At the local machinery dealership, the service centre, which usually struggles to keep up with demand this time of year, has far fewer machines to tweak. Sales of tractors and headers have also halved.
We're carrying a lot of used combines. Some of those we've had for 12 months, so we are slowly getting rid of some, but not enough of them.
In a region with a lot of mixed farmers, this is also about more than cropping. Among them are the Hendersons, who have farmed at Kaltawi for more than 100 years. They normally grow their own feed on what is fairly reliable country, but last year it all failed.
We didn't reap any barley, so we didn't harvest any grain for stock feed, and we also didn't cut any hay for stock feed. It is unheard of, and I would think, talking with Dad and the generation before, can't remember a season where you just don't deliver anything.
Alison Henderson looks after the sheep side of the business and has spent almost $100,000 buying in feed. And when there's nothing on the ground to eat, nobody is skipping dinner time, which is increasingly taking place in containment yards to take the strain off the paddocks and animals.
So essentially containment feeding is putting the sheep in a small area to minimise them walking around and burning off energy, which means that then you'd have to feed them more.
It's been a rough entry into full-time farming for Alison, who started breeding sheep in 2021 before investing in a top stud last year. Then the rain stopped, and by the end of the year she'd sold 40% of the flock. Today she's reducing the numbers again.
Our flock has a lot of staple length though.
Yeah.
Relying on genomic data for things like fleece weight and carcass traits, as well as a visual assessment to pick who stays and who goes.
19.1 staple length, it should be.
It's giving me a lot of peace of mind knowing that I'm making good decisions and that none of the animals that I'm choosing to keep are passengers. And so it means that everything then that I'm feeding them is worth it. And in better times we have a flock that is productive and ready to really make the most of its genetic potential. She brings wool characteristics that we don't have a lot of.
While classing sheep so early in the season started as a drought mitigation strategy, Alison is now sold on it.
Have we ever done it before? No. Will we do it again in the future? Probably. Again, one of those benefits of hard times is you can make management changes, and I think this is one of those that would be a good management strategy going forward.
This is another management strategy Alison is embracing to survive the drought.
Beautiful bowling.
Every week, the sports lover heads to the local bowls club to just get away from it all.
I think our community in the past during tough times has lost key people to mental health, and that's had a real impact. But it's also created this environment where it's become okay and good to talk about mental health.
I think I'll give you them.
I've probably been more intentional to be more social than what I normally would, just because I know how important it is to be around people in community.
In the heart of Melrose, more dust is flying, but this time it's all about community. Like the farms, drought has taken its toll on local footy ovals, despite volunteers' best efforts to keep the grounds that bring country people together in decent shape.
The kids are playing under-12s cricket there before Christmas, and there's a dust storm blew across in the last couple of overs, and we all went, this is absolute crap, we've got to do something about this.
While the kids have got used to playing on pretty much anything, when they get back on the Melrose Oval for the start of this season, it will look a lot healthier, after the club secured grants from governments and football leagues to renovate it.
It's just exhausting having to continually advocate for basic stuff. So when those phone calls come through, yeah, I was pretty emotional, to be honest. Yeah, so cried all morning.
And for a community starved of green, the rapid revival of the sports field is something to hang on to until the heavens open and work their magic beyond the boundary fence.
Being around green in a time like this is there's nothing that beats it, really. It's a bit like sitting next to the water having a beer. It's quite soothing, so you just throw your energy into something that you get a bit back out of, and then in hope that we get a bit back out of the farm in the coming seasons.